Hello there. Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast. This is for the week of April 6th through the 12th. So I'll give you an overview of the aspects that we'll talk about today, and then we'll dig into exactly what those aspects mean. As you're tuning in and as you're watching, leave me a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from and say hello. So we have a lot of fiery energy this week. We have let's see. So on Tuesday, we have the full moon in the sign of Libra. That same day, we also have Mars square Uranus. And we'll also talk about Mercury moving into the sign of Aries. So these are big, bright, and dynamic energies. So we're going to talk about that today. Let's see, as we get started here. So again, leave me a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from so that I can say hello. And if you have a specific question about this week, either about the astrology or something that you're working with in your personal life, definitely leave a comment, whether you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, and I will respond as best I can. All right. So the moon is in the sign of Libra right now as we speak. So we're moving towards this full moon in the sign of Libra on Tuesday. This is going to be exact at, so Tuesday the 7th at 7:34 p.m. Pacific time. And that's at 18 degrees of Libra. So a full moon is always this expression of everything being out on display emotionally, of full emotions, of being out in the world. Ironically, a lot of us feel like we're not out in the world right now. And so the full moon is where emotional sensitivity is heightened. It's where we can feel more aware of our emotions, or our emotions are just feeling more intense as well. The interesting thing with this is that it is a full moon in the sign of Libra, which is about partnership and beauty, connection, finding balance, finding diplomacy. Libra is also about justice to a certain extent. And so for this, we want to look at what Venus is doing. And so Venus has just freshly moved into the sign of Gemini, like we talked about last week. So Venus in Gemini is about relationships that have this like really curious, interesting, like where there's a shared communication or language or talking, etc. So I feel like this full moon is about connection. It's about connecting with people in the best way that we can. And I don't know about you, but I've seen, I've talked to a lot of people who are like craving that connection, and we kind of have to be more creative with it than we used to be. And I think that full moon in Libra on Tuesday combined with Venus in the sign of Gemini is an excellent opportunity to be more creative around the way that you're connecting with people and communicating, and whether that's through Skype calls or Zoom or things like this is really great. Hi Justin, hi Hadley, nice to see you guys here. So that we have that big bright full moon on Tuesday, and then following that, the moon is in the waning cycle. So this means that the moon is going to appear smaller, and we have the moon moving through Scorpio through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So kind of more of an intense, emotional, smoldering kind of effect. And then over the weekend, the moon moves into Sagittarius and then Capricorn. So I think that this week may feel like emotionally intense because of the full moon, and then because it goes straight into Scorpio, which is like a very deeply feeling where emotions can feel more intense. The other piece of this is that on Tuesday, Mars will square Uranus. And so Mars is about physical action, it's about vitality, it's about fighting for something. And when Mars and Uranus are paired, there is a desire to take action. There's a desire to move, to do something, to stand up, to fight, to confront, to make a change, to make a dramatic change. So Uranus is about dramatic change. And so, um, so when I see this aspect, especially since it's a square, squares tend to show where there is something that happens either in our external world or inside of us where it feels like it's something needs to happen. There is an action that is initiated, or there's a challenge, or there's a struggle. And so for that reason, when I do client work, I really zone in on the square aspects, because that tells me where there's something that someone really works with over their lifetime. It's kind of like a push and pull kind of energy. These energies are very present, and they're kind of like always trying to integrate with one another. So we experience that on Tuesday with this Mars Uranus. So what I would say is this is a great time to take action, to be bold, to if you've been thinking about making some kind of change, or taking some kind of physical action. When I'm talking about change, when we talk about change with Uranus, it is dramatic change, it is radical change. And so, you know, this can look a variety of different ways depending on what's happening in your life now, but it is more dramatic. So if there's something that you've already been thinking about, you may feel that more present in your life this week. Now, that doesn't mean that the change necessarily needs to happen or that it's a good idea. I think that that's up to you to use discernment on what is right for you at this point in time. And I find that with Mars Uranus, it can feel like this kind of almost explosive desire to change, or to take, it can show up as like agitation, I think, in a certain way. So I would just like watch out for that, and you know what is right for you. I would imagine that you know when there's a change that needs to happen and it's time, versus being impatient. And so I want to make that distinction, because I don't want us to make a change that maybe is not well thought out. And then there's, you know, maybe the planning isn't in place, or maybe it's not the time. So that's actually a good segue to Mercury changing signs. So so Mercury is about the mind. It's about thought process, communication. And so when it changes signs, this shows that there's sort of a shift in the way that we're thinking about things and the way that we communicate. Mercury is moving from Pisces into Aries this week, so that's happening on Friday the 10th. And this is a big change for Mercury, because Pisces is more about going with the flow and exploring creative ideas. There's a more, there's kind of like a spiral thinking to Pisces. Whereas with Aries, it's very direct. It's very, again, there's this theme around confrontation or fighting for something or speaking. Things are initiated from passion. Things are initiated from instinct. Instinct is a big theme when it comes to Aries. So I think this is an interesting combo where we have Mars Uranus, which is about a desire to take action, a desire to take a dramatic maybe change of course. And then we have Mercury, which is moving into a sign that is going from more kind of like spiral and think about it, and I want to like have all of these imaginative ideas. In Pisces, it's moving to Aries, which is about taking action quickly and taking action from a place of independence, from a place of self-interest, which is not a bad thing in all cases. So there is this, and then the other piece of this also is we have this full moon in Libra, which is the axis of Libra and Aries, basically, because the sun is in Aries right now. And so we have all of these layers around acting from a place of taking care of yourself, of empowering yourself, and then also how do others factor into that equation. So it's very like self-relationship oriented this week. And so I have some tips for you to really work with this. I do think that, just to apply this to what's happening in the world right now as far as the global pandemic, I think that the way to, like, at a global level, to work with this is to first and foremost take care of your own basic physical needs, and then also to not forget that you are so connected to other people. I mean, we're seeing this now, how incredibly connected we are, and it's almost scary how connected we are. But what I'm feeling for this week, though, a big part of the message is that ultimately you need to take care of yourself so that you can be a positive, so that you can be a beneficial presence in the world, and so that you can be there for the people who depend on you as well. Like, it has to start with you. What is it that you need now in order to take care of yourself? And how can you do this so that it is not a detriment to the people in your life? I hope that makes sense. So tip number one is to remember that you're important. So along these lines, right? When we have Mercury moving into the sign of Aries, it is more focused on the self. It is like, what is my goal? What is my desire? What is my need? What do I want? What do I want? And this is really important because when you're in relationship, we have the full moon in Libra, you need to have this connection to yourself so that you can bring that into the relationship. And so we have that here with Mercury moving into Aries, and then also with the Mars-Uranus combination as well. So that's number one, to remember that you are important, that the work that you're doing is important, that the presence that you bring into the world is important. Tip number two is to strategize. So I want this for you this week, because Mars Uranus is going to feel like there tends to be more of like a desire to change or take action. And so I want you to be strategic with this energy, because it tends to have like high passion and high instinct. There's a lot of like, ooh, like I want to do this, and there's an excitement there as well. So I want you to work with this and to temper this by being strategic. What are your goals right now? What is it? I mean, right now everything feels, I don't know about you, but for me, nothing feels normal right now. Everything feels very uncertain. My schedule, the nature of my work, and when I'm connecting with family and friends, everything is different, and everything is kind of like what's the word? It's like unpredictable. It feels that way. And so I think that the way to work with this, and to work with the high passion energy that's coming in this week, is to be strategic about what's important to you, and how are you, like, the things that you're doing today, how do those align with what it is that's important to you, and what it is that you envision for your future, even if the future seems a little bit ambiguous right now. I've had a few clients recently where we've talked a lot, like where they're going through Saturn transits, and so a lot of you are experiencing this shift right now as well, since we have Saturn moving from Capricorn into Aquarius just recently, and it's going to kind of go back and forth over this space over the course of this next year. And so it's an important time to really be strategic, especially when we have these transits like this week, where there's a lot of passion and there's this oomph that you can tune into. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Tip number three is to be bold. So I say that because the other piece of the Mars-Uranus energy is, I think that there can be a nervous energy there, because it's like, if you're not used to, or if you're not prepared to make a change, whether that is, changing a little bit of your routine or changing the way that you think about things, it can bring kind of an anxious energy with it. So I want to encourage you this week to embrace that boldness, to embrace that energy around Aries, and that can be something that brings you a sense of confidence. And again, like remembering that you are important, and that your presence here is needed, no matter what it is that your life looks like right now. We need your presence in this world. All right, so as a little meditative experiment, I'm going to pull a tarot card. And again, this is more just for you to, it's kind of like a reflection versus something that's actually going to happen. Let's see. And again, as I'm shuffling these, leave me a comment. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know, yeah, let me know what your week has been like. Okay. Okay, so I pulled the Nine of Cups. So this is the wish fulfillment card. And I pulled this reversed. So this means that, or this is a meditation around what is it that you want? What is that sense of satisfaction for you? See, so this person here, they have collected all of those cups. Cups are about emotional satisfaction as well. So I would ask, you know, where, rather, when is it that you feel emotionally satisfied? What kinds of states or activities or people, situations bring a sense of emotional satisfaction, and even I would say like emotional stability to you as well, because he's seated here, so there is this sense of like rooting and stability. Yeah, that's what comes to me when I look at this card. So I'm curious what comes to you, especially when we're thinking about the number 9 as well. 9 is about feeling a sense of completion, and whether that is a project being completed or feeling a sense of satiation around something as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, leave me a comment and let me know. I'm sending you lots of love for the week ahead. And of course, I am an astrologer and a counselor. So if you're interested in astrological counseling with me, you can find out more about that on my website at shawnamcgrathastrology.com. Thanks.